You're listening to Health and Wellness section with Sarah Show. This podcast is a fun, entertaining, and enlightening look at health, wellness, and healthy lifestyle. We help break down complex health issues and make them easy to understand and overcome. The insights you get here will help you transform your health and live your best life ever. Thank you for tuning in. Hi, Vanessa. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I'll be talking about weight loss and there are things that we are doing and we're not doing right in the process of losing weight. And I'm very sure you would probably want to listen to the end because this episode is fully packed. Yes, when I mean it's packed, it is fully packed. It's educative, informative, everything, entertaining, everything is just in one episode. Yes, please try and listen to the end of this episode.
Hi, Dr. Tosin. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. And I'm super excited to have you on this episode. Okay, so before we talk about the topic for today, I want you to introduce yourself. Like, we need to get to know you more.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for having me. So my name is Dr. Tosin. So full name is Dr. Tosin Taiwo. I go online by Dr. Tosin. I'm a medical doctor. I'm based in family medicine. I work in the United Kingdom. What I do specifically on this side is I focus on fitness for men over 40, helping them achieve peak health. But I also do weight loss for generally everybody, weight loss. And generally how I term it is coining and believing and developing a healthy lifestyle. What I always tell people is that contrary to what a lot of people think, doctors do not know anything about nutrition. You go to medical school for 6 years, and if at all you do any form of nutrition, it's maybe 2-week nutrition class, if you are lucky. So a lot of doctors that tell you about things do not know anything about nutrition. They just follow the standard issued message given by the World Health Organization, which isn't too bad, and other organizations. So I specifically went and did a certified diploma in nutrition to get myself up to date in that particular line. And that's me in a nutshell. I also do a podcast. I've got a YouTube channel and I run some specific courses for people that want to lose weight.
Wow, that's so great. So if we are actually talking about weight loss, we are not in the wrong, we are not talking to the wrong person, because I believe you are going to give us a lot of information that a lot of people don't have access to. And, most people they find it very difficult to lose weight. Either they are not doing it in the right way, or they are overdoing it, or they are not following should I say the standard, because I just feel like there's no really standard to losing weight. So I know a lot of people find it difficult to lose weight, and I don't know if there are ways that they are doing it and they're not doing it right. And I think I need to talk about that. What are the things people are doing and they're not doing right in order to lose weight?
Now, I will be very frank with you. I believe personally, from what I've seen, that weight loss is an individually personalized journey for people. Unfortunately, there is no one-size-fits-all method for weight loss. So some way one person might be doing it, it will be completely different from the same way someone else is doing it. For what I mean is, two people, you can take two random people, give them the exact same things to do, and one person will lose weight and the other person will not. Now, weight gain, being overweight, and the term that everybody uses, obesity, is a multifactorial thing. I always tend to want to coin that first before we move into weight loss. Weight of being overweight, the thing we use mostly to measure that particular thing is something called the body mass index. Essentially, it's what your weight is in kilograms, and you measure your height in meters and get it in meters squared. That's to multiply your height by itself. So if your height is 1.6 meters, you do 1.6 times 1.6. So whatever value you get is your height in meters squared. So you now divide your weight over your height in meters squared to get your BMI. But it's the standard thing used, but it doesn't work for everybody completely, essentially. So if people want to lose weight, it has to be something personalized. What are they doing that that, what do you call it? What's their reason for weight loss in the first place? People need to define that particular thing. I always start by doing a complete, asking people what their medical state is. Have they gone to their doctors, especially if anybody's over the age of 35? Have they been to their physician for what I call a basic health check? Have they done that first? Because weight loss can also be a medical, it could be due to medical problems on the line, like dysfunctions in your thyroid gland or other hormones in your body, especially in women.
So before anybody can think of they want to lose weight, or maybe because a lot of people just feel like they are okay. I was talking to someone recently and she told me she's underweight, and I'm like, what do you mean by you're underweight? Like, have you checked your weight and you feel like you're underweight, or you just feel like you are skinny, or you are not the kind of shape that you want? Have you checked your weight? And she's like, no, she has not checked her weight. And I'm like, you can't say you're underweight when you have not checked your weight and you have not done the calculation, like the BMI. So thank you so much for that. That's about weight loss and the reason why they want to lose weight or they want to gain weight, right? Okay, so let's now go into weight loss, because the main topic is about weight loss.
Yes.
Yes. So what's your view about exercise? Like, what's the impact of exercise in weight loss? Most people, I did it too, because at some point I wanted to lose weight and I had to register at the gym. I didn't know I was doing the wrong thing. Not really the wrong thing, because me registering at the gym and I'm not doing the ideal thing. So I'm just going to the gym and I'm still eating anything I feel like eating, and I'm still doing anything I like. I didn't get the desired thing I wanted to. So it's more or less like I just wasted my money for like 3 months or 4 months. I had to just quit and I didn't go again till now. So I do my exercise at home. So what do you have to say about exercise? What's the relationship between exercise and weight loss, and how can it work perfectly that people would be able to get the desired result?
Yes. Okay. So I think first thing I'll say again, I always like to stress the fact that there's always a personalization to everything. People have to do things in that regard. Exercise is absolutely essential. People talk about, I always tell people that I would rather, although I have programs that I coin weight loss programs, I actually tell people when they come into my program that I'm actually not focusing on weight loss. I am focusing mainly on a healthy lifestyle. If you live a healthy lifestyle, which exercise and fitness is paramount, weight loss is the side effect. There is no way you will live a healthy lifestyle that you will not lose weight. And now that segues into the conversation for nutrition. Now, I think what people you hear, which is standard and is very true, that weight loss is 70 to 80% what you eat, your nutrition, and the remaining 70% what you eat, 20% exercise and movement, and 10% psychology. I have actually made it a bit different. I will actually say it is actually 30% or more your psychology, 50% what you eat, and 20% exercise, because your psychology tends to affect what you eat. So a lot of people, is not really that everybody knows that the standard person, if you ask them what do you need to do to lose weight, eat less, eat healthy food, exercise. But what is the healthy food? And a lot of people, if you tell them what is healthy food, they will all say, vegetable, eat fish, the fatty food, this, that. They know, we know it. Everybody knows it. It's not like I'm talking to the people, everybody knows it. Yeah. The question we need to ask ourselves is why? Why are we not doing it? That's where the psychology comes into place. It's multifactorial, the environment we find ourselves in. What's around us? Who do we associate with? Peer pressure, other multifactorial things play a lot. So coming back to nutrition and eating foods, I differ in a lot of things there, where I always tell people I tend to look at particular nutrition programs for different people. And if someone comes to me and I see how they are, I may tell them, look, I think this is the plan that may work for you. Sometimes, to be very honest, there's nothing that is fixed. There's some science, but a lot of things is trial and error. Try this, let's see how it does. Stick to it well if you can. If it works, then we can see if we can make it a lifestyle. The main problem I tell everybody is that, although personally I favor a lot of low carb and keto type diets, I also believe all diets work. every single diet works. The problem is the rebound. People will lose weight. The problem is they gain it back. So if you're not doing any form of eating or exercise that you can do every day as a lifestyle, then you're probably not going to lose that weight.
You are right, because let me just relate it to myself back again. I was not doing the right thing. I feel that psychology actually plays a huge role in losing weight and living a healthy lifestyle. So when I quit going to the gym, because I feel like I'm not doing some things right, I had to sit down and think, like, what exactly am I doing that is affecting me? I was going to the gym and I love soda a lot. I don't want to mention the brand. I love it a lot. So if I don't take like 3 bottles a day, I am not okay. So I am going to the gym and I'm still drinking or not eating right. I can eat, carbs are good, but I love eating this oily snacks and all sorts. I had to sit down, like, really, there's something wrong with me. This soda, I have to eliminate it from myself. Like, at least I might not stop drinking it, but let me just reduce it. Gradually, I reduce it until I don't take soda again. So all of a sudden, people started asking me, like, really, what are you using? I noticed you lose weight, your belly fat is not there again. And I'm like, really, I'm not doing anything serious. All I know is that I've stopped doing some things and doing some things now. I don't take soda again. I don't take processed drink again. So I'd rather take my water or make my juice myself than doing all those things. So I feel like it has a huge role it plays in my own weight loss. So about the psychology now, you mentioned having the right circle of people with you. So that means that if I don't have the right circle, maybe my circle are people that love going to, like, love eating out. We don't like to cook our meal ourselves, and we just love eating anything we feel like eating. That has a role that it plays in weight loss, because I feel like my circle should be able to tell me, oh, Sarah, you need to do this, you need to, or more or less, like, they are reminding me to do some particular thing. So you said 30% of psychology, 20% of exercise, and
yes,
and 50% of
nutrition.
Nutrition. So now nutrition as what we eat. So what exactly do we have to be eating, and what are the things that we need to stop eating to achieve or to stay healthy?
So if we stick to nutrition, I'll just go through that slightly. For people, it differs for a lot of people. There is always the standard portion control. The basic thing I tell anybody who is healthy and wants to do, well, what do we eat? We tell them, eat like the rainbow. And I'm not talking of Smarties or M&Ms or those things. When we say eat like a rainbow, have a colorful plate, for instance. So have vegetables of different colors, have green leafy greens on your plate, have a lot of fish, have a lot of what do you call it? I like people eating meat. Some people say no, but I have no problem with meat unless you've got a particular that doesn't agree with you. But reduce, the main aim is, one, if you open your cupboard, reduce things that are processed foods to start with. I mean, if you have stuff in there that if you turn it and you look at the label, the ingredients, and you cannot read what the ingredient is, it's telling you something, then that's probably not good. Another philosophy that I like using is, if you really want to stick it down, and there's nuance in it here, if you really want to bring it down to the basics, eat what is from God and not what is from man. How does that work? If God made it, then you can eat it. If man ate it, probably not. So that is a basic psychology. Obviously, there's some overlap, yes, in some particular processed foods. But if you think about it, what if you think you dig yam from the floor? God made yam, so you can make that. But if not, it's not the processed, refined white flour of Vignon that people have processed and added additives to. That's an example. So that's like a basic philosophy to start with. Obviously, there is portion control there. I will not tell you to, if you're eating the whole yam, you want to eat the whole tube, and that now becomes a bit more problematic on its own. So that's one of the philosophies I use. I also favor, like I said before, a low carb diet. So if anybody says right now, okay, right, I need to lose weight, and I'd say what you start with as basic, you can work on other things, is over the next 10 days to 2 weeks, cut out all refined sugars, anything that has sugar in it. White sugar itself, things like flour from bread or any form of spaghetti or pasta, and obviously, like you mentioned, soda drinks. And when I say soda drinks, I include all the malt drinks, and I also tell them even the so-called healthy juices, orange juices that they are producing in our countries, these are all 70 to 80% sugar. And another shocking thing that people don't realize is a lot of sugar, apart from they probably do some, are the cornflakes and cereals out there. So I tell people it's a hard thing to do, to be very honest. When they come to me, it's almost like there's the part in the Bible where I think the rich man comes to Jesus and says, "Oh, what can I do to enter the kingdom of heaven?" And he says, "Drop everything that you own and follow me." And the guy scratches his head. That's how you get people reacting, you know. And then they think, I have to give up bread. So those type of things. Yeah, I mean, that can be drastic. And there are programs that I do, and I take people through what we call a gradual desensitization. You don't necessarily have to cut out everything, obviously. We start little steps, what we call tiny habit building. So essentially, in summary, portion control, eating like the rainbow with a lot of vegetables, having at least 2 portions of fish every week. I take meat as well. So if you're having meat if you get meat in, that's good. Reducing the amount of carbohydrate load on your plate. I'm not asking you to cut it out completely. Although if you come on some programs, I will put some people on a completely keto type diet because of the rapid weight loss they can get on it. And removing all refined sugar products.
Yeah, and also eat what is made from God and not from
yes.
That's my take home.
So if God made it, you can eat it. If it's made by man, probably not.
Probably not. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so a lot of people, I'm saying a lot of people anyway. All right, so people tend to when they're on the weight loss journey, they try to avoid eating fat, and they believe that fat is not good for them. So what do you have to say about that?
That area is extremely controversial. I'll be very honest with you. And I always bring it back to people that this is a personalized. And yes, there are some people that if they put fat on their food, they'll run into problems. But I always have to tell them we have to actually iron it out. What I call the nuance there. Now, back in the 50s, they came out, there was a scientist, I think his name, he brought out fat is bad, it raises your cholesterol. All the food companies in the Western world jumped on it and they marketed it to the World Health Organization and all our bodies, and that filtered down into fat is bad for everybody. But what we found recently, even recent times, there is a lot of fat-free and but we are eating a lot of fat-free food. Now, the nuance is this. Before we say fat is bad, that is not 100% true. There is really unhealthy fats. Things like we call the trans fats are the ones that are really unhealthy. Some also, the types of fat out there are the mono unsaturated fats, poly unsaturated fats, and saturated fat. Now, the monounsaturated fats, everybody knows that there's some nuts out there, avocados, avocado oil. We know those ones. Polyunsaturated fats differ slightly, chia seeds, and some oils that have come out recently, all the seed oils. I'll come back to that one. And trans fats, which is where the main problem is, are the types of fats that have been produced in the process factories and put in a lot of the products we eat, including things like biscuits. That's what people don't realize, including things like this. So the trans fats are the problems. Now, saturated fats got a bad rap. They call it the black sheep of the family. People said saturated fat is bad because, it clogs up your arteries and that. But we actually found out that saturated fats, actually, they are the healthy versions like coconut oil, butter. Now, we have to be specific. The butter we talk about is something called grass-fed butter. That means it's raised from healthy cows in healthy environments. That's a different topic entirely on its own. And healthy palm kernel oil. These are all saturated fats and actually play an interesting role in helping your body cells. So clearly, taking too much of it is bad, and I don't tell people to eliminate it completely. I would rather people use those in small quantities and replace all their so-called vegetable oils with that. I think the problem I've seen with clients in Nigeria is that accessing something like coconut oil can be quite expensive. Yeah. And so you're left with getting the so-called, what they term the healthy vegetable oils. Now, fun fact, they tell you that they have vegetable oil in the market. That's vegetable oil, sunflower oil, rapeseed oil, canola oil, and there's one more I can't remember. But where's the vegetable in the oil? All these things are made from seeds, but they call it vegetable oil. And I challenge anybody here. Go on YouTube and watch, Google, how is so oil made, vegetable oil made. So we are all consuming oils that are heated at high temperatures, broken down, bleached. The oil is bleached and it goes through process of hybridization or hydrogenation, one of those fancy names, with chemicals. And that's what they package in a bottle for us to eat. And you throw it in the pan and you put it at high temperature. So those are the things that are causing the problem. So it's not necessarily the healthy fats themselves. So that is where I stand with it. I personally will not cut out all fats from people. I will ask them to reduce portions in very variable amounts. Especially if you are cooking, I'll ask you to take away as much of the cooking oil that you can use. And if you need to put any oil, I've actually seen where one of the nutritionists I work with, and we've even started doing it in my house, where you make jollof rice with just 2 teaspoons of coconut oil. And everything else is more tomato and pepper that you add. And it has come out nice. People believe you must pour oil, that type of thing. But that's when the fat problem of story of fat is bad.
That's in my country. You have to add a lot. Yeah,
the oil must be floating on top. So I think that is where the nuance of the problem is. So that particular fat, the oil they are using that is bad. But if, for instance, someone was eating lots of fat-heavy fat foods like vegetable, or even the fat on fish and some meats, I feel it's okay, personally. There are a group of people that feel that you should remove the skin of chicken because it contains too much fat. Fair enough. Yes, you reduce your fat intake because you are using oil. That is a fair point as well. I may not necessarily do that if I'm going to grill the chicken. And then sometimes you find that when you cook or grill the chicken, you can actually use the stock and oil from that to do other things. So that's where I stand with that regarding fat. So I'll cut down little amounts. I'll be more aggressive in reducing refined sugars rather than the fat, and also the refined oil products. So fats that are gotten in all our vegetable oils and all the fats that you get as trans fats in foods that you eat, like the fries in all the fast foods that we go to, and things like the biscuits and all those packaged crisps and all that stuff.
Thank you so much for that. So about the biscuits, I actually don't, maybe I need to go and make findings about that biscuits. I eat biscuits a lot, but not so much anyway. All right.
I think it's always, I feel it's a gradual step. And if we go with our principle from the back again, is biscuit made by God?
No.
You see what I mean? No. But exactly. But in truth, it's not anybody listening. What I am saying is, I'm not telling them cut out biscuits completely, because I love crackers, so I still eat crackers. I'm not saying that you should take it out completely. Mm-hmm. I'm just giving people out the information to weigh out there, because if you're asking a question, how can I embark on a healthy lifestyle journey? That's what I tend to talk to people about, a healthy lifestyle journey. Weight loss will become the side effect of it. Now, how fast you want to lose the weight obviously becomes a different discussion.
How fast? That's true. I think we're going to talk about that. How fast can people achieve their weight loss? Because sometimes it takes months, it takes weeks, and depending on what they're doing. And is it possible to even have a quick what would I call it? A quick remedy to weight loss, like losing weight within 2 weeks or a week or like 7 days. Is it possible?
The question now becomes, when you say losing weight, you have to ask the person, when you say how much weight is it that you are planning to lose? Because we have to make it something that is realistic and achievable.
Yeah.
So generally worldwide, World Health Organization, we tend to say that you should not, when you're losing weight, you should lose as an average of 0.5 to 1 kg per week. Now that's the average, so it can vary on both sides. Some people can actually do as much as 2 kilograms of weight loss per week, depending on the particular type of regimen they go on. And so that's if you do 2 weeks. So someone that is 80 kg in 2 weeks can drop to 76 kg going on the regimen. But the problem really is not the weight loss; is can they make it sustainable? That's why I try and work with people. I don't really focus on just only do this. How do we get your mindset right? How do we look at your general daily activities that you can fit in general routines that can help you build a lifestyle that will help you maintain the weight loss that you have. So those are the things I want to look at.
Thank you so much for that. All right. So not sleeping, not having adequate sleep has its own role in weight loss or weight gain. So what's the correlation and the relationship between sleep and weight?
Okay, good. So that in itself is also what we call a multifactorial symptom or cause. Now, the first thing to start with is when you do not sleep well, and we recently, as we all know, in the new world, age world that we live in now, most people are chronically underslept. There's so much blue light technology, that's the light on our phones that we are looking at. We are looking at our phone till like midnight, and that is causing a lot of problems. When you go to bed, before you go to bed at night, around 8-9 p.m., your body releases a particular hormone called melatonin. Now that melatonin signals to the body that it's time to go to sleep. And that process itself initiates different processes in the body. The body now goes into a bit of rest and repair mode. The brain goes into the process of consolidating memories from the day and initiating processes that can help repair cells, and regenerate the body and reduce what we call an inflammatory process. Now, when that is happening, the inflammatory process, the cells that deal with fat production, the adipocyte cells can rest a bit and not start putting on more, gathering more fat tissue at that time. That's one factor. If you do not sleep well, that process does not get initiated. And when you wake up in the morning, because every time you wake up, you release a hormone called cortisol. As you wake up, that cortisol level that is supposed to spike for you to wake up and come down stays high. Once that hormone is elevated, your body it's in a bit of a stress situation. So if you think about it, in a stress situation, when we're back, from our ancestors, what we inherited from our ancestors, when you're in a stress situation, you are either ready to run, which is flight, or fight. The body needs energy. So the quick source of energy is glucose. Glucose is like, if you look at it like a country, it's like having cash at hand. You have cash in your hand, you want to spend the money quickly. So when you wake up in the morning, your body needs to get some quick cash. So people that don't sleep well, their morning cravings are usually different. They won't crave a salad. It's more you want to go for high carbohydrate products, which then again leads to putting on weight. Or you go for all the quick snacks, cakes, biscuits, crisps, all those things. So all those things help pile on weight. That's one of the factors. So poor sleep dysregulates the circadian rhythm, and that leads to people having poor cortisol levels and increased cravings. Another thing that the sleep rhythm does is when the melatonin initiates your sleep, there's a hormone called the growth hormone in itself. That's one of the rest and repair hormones and one of the hormones that initiates your body to be able to burn calories at a different type of wavelength. If that doesn't get initiated as well, your body's not able to do that repair system. So you are in a situation where your body starts to add more fat rather than lose it. So those are the two main things. There are other nuances around that, but I think those are the two main take-homes for people. So I do not confuse people with I tend to want to try and make things basic and not throw too much science.
That's true. Thank you so much for that. So what are the tips that people can use to have adequate sleep?
Okay. Again, I always tell people, I feel a lot of always my key to that it's highly personalized. It's what we tell people is set an alarm for bedtime. Even sometimes I find myself struggling to get to bed on time. Adequately, anybody should have anything between 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Okay. That's a sweet spot. The sweet spot is usually 7 hours of sleep, and that is what I tell people to try and get. If people are struggling with sleep, first question is, are you struggling to get to bed on time? If what is hindering you from going to bed, is it something that you are bringing upon yourself? Is it that you end up watching too much Netflix or some other program and you're staying awake late? Or are you genuinely finding it difficult to go to sleep where you lie down and you can't fall asleep at all? Now, if that's the case, I'll tell people to first address what their issues are. What time are you looking at your phone before bedtime? Can you reduce that? Maybe take a night shower and see if you can reduce that. Now, your last meal, some people have said your last meal should be probably ideally before 8 p.m. At that last meal, maybe if you are finding it difficult, see what you are eating and swap it out for maybe a quick, small, healthy meal like vegetables with either a piece of chicken or turkey. Now, the reason I go with that is that apparently it's been found that either chicken or turkey, I think turkey preferably, has a great content of something called tryptophan. Now, tryptophan goes into the body. It's a precursor to the sleep hormone melatonin. So the more tryptophan you have in your body around 8 p.m. or so, the more likelihood that when it comes to 10 or 11 o'clock, your melatonin levels will be increased. That's one method. Another thing I tell people is that sometimes it differs from people, but you might find out that if you do a nice exercise routine in the evening before 8 o'clock or your last meal, eat, shower, go to bed, you probably will go to bed quickly. And the best thing I now find for people is if you pick up nighttime, try and see if you are able to read something light, not something like a textbook or anything, although sometimes some people actually fall asleep reading that because it's too boring. But read a light story, put it off, and have an unwinding system to go to bed. Those are the basic things. But with people, I feel sometimes it needs to get personalized. You have to ask them questions around it. I do not promote initially people jumping on tablets to start with. I see what can you do naturally. And if they are still struggling and there's a genuine sleep disease that they have, then we can now start talking of, do we look at medication for that?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. So what advice would you give to shift workers like nurses, medical doctors that work night shifts, sometimes 24 hours, and they find it very difficult to sleep?
That's hard. I mean, like I said, we can't advise them 100%. All we can say is if you are doing a shift, if you've done a night shift and you need to go to bed during the day, what's the setup in your house like? Are you going home to a house full of little young 2-year-old children that are going to be jumping around when you're trying to sleep? You're probably not going to sleep. Is your room set in a cool environment? Ideally, even if you can and you are doing that, can you get an environment that is cool? The optimum temperature apparently for a good room of sleep is 19 degrees Celsius, but that might be hard to come by, especially if you're in Nigeria where temperatures are hitting nearly 40 degrees. So can you cool your room down? Can you get what we call blackout blinds? So when you get into your room, can you close your blinds and the room looks black, or those things that they give them in airplanes that can block out their eyes? Are those things you can try and get to sleep? Those are little things that they may try. It might be difficult. And to be very honest, right now we frown, the World Health Organization, you frown on doctors on healthcare professionals doing straightforward 24-hour shifts. It's unhealthy. We found out that you are not productive after 12 hours. You are not. And when there was a research that they did on surgeons where they took them and they tested their brains after depriving them of sleep. And they equated their brain and skill function to that of someone that was drunk. That's how bad it gets. So people might not know, but the executive functioning in the forebrain starts to go. That's why people get a bit more snappy, you start shouting more, and you cannot take rational decisions. So I would frown on it for people to work 24-hour shifts. That's more at the policy government level for them to change all those type of things. I think that's what I would say for most of them. Another thing I'll let them know that unfortunately, the World Health Organization has actually classified shift work as a possible carcinogen. So shift workers have a higher likelihood of developing cancer because of the poor sleep.
Wow, thank you so much for that. Okay, so what's your take on weight loss tea, slimming tea? Like, do you think they really work, or it's just normal thing people just take? And I don't know, I feel it has its own harm on the body. So what do you have to say about that?
To be very honest, the answer is that I've not seen any. The research says that there's no evidence that it works for most research, but anecdotally, I've seen people that have taken the tea and they can swear by it. Oh, they did this slimming tea and it worked for them. I do not know how true it is. I've looked at the ingredients, and some of the herbs there that have been linked to the Oriental world in like places like China, Japan, and the Middle East and Eastern countries say that they've used these teas to curb the appetite, or some of these teas are actually more laxative. So they clear the bowel transition time. So they reduce the time the food spends in your tummy, so you don't get a lot of it absorbed. It will not be the first thing I'll be recommending to people personally, because I feel the way it works, and again, going back to the psychology, is that people want to depend on taking something to solve a problem that they have caused themselves without trying to fix the problem in the first place. So they end up depending on the tea, but not changing the so-called unhealthy habits. So it creates a more vicious cycle. And not to talk again of what you mentioned, the possible side effects. Clearly from research, we have learned that for an adult, you need to take 2 tablets of paracetamol to cure the headache because it has been tested, it has been validated, and we've seen that if people take 4 tablets, there are side effects, all those type of things. I cannot tell you how many tea bags will initiate weight loss. I know they say drink one in the morning or drink one in the evening, but we do not have any rational testing to show it. And yes, in the science world, sometimes we depend on that a little too much, I must say. But for me, those are the little things I'll take. If anybody comes and tells me they are taking a slimming tea, I will not be the first, but I will not be someone that will say, oh, that's bad, stop it. I won't do that personally. I would ask them why they believe in it, and I'll try and find out whether they have gone through the rigorous process of auditing their lifestyle, their habits, and building healthy habits first before I talk to them about anything else. That would be my method and approach.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for that. So what do you have to say about people taking apple cider vinegar to lose weight? Some people take it first thing in the morning and then...
that apple cider vinegar is... personally, there's some research around it. Maybe not necessarily with weight loss. What the purported help is that it helps increase your basal metabolic rate. So it increases the way at which your body is running. It might hold some factors. Again, like I said, I wouldn't stop people from taking it. So I don't know. A placebo is when we are testing people with drugs. We're doing drug trials. We give a portion of people the correct drug, and a portion of people we tell them it's the correct drug, but it's actually just like a sweet, and we take this tablet, it to work. Now in that portion, 30% of the people that have taken the drug that has no effect still get cure, because their mind, again going back to the psychology, has told them this drug will work, so it works. That's why how powerful the mind is. So some people using the apple cider vinegar, because of their true belief that this will make them lose weight, they lose weight. Because the mind, your brain has been described as the most powerful pharmacy on earth. If you have told yourself you will lose weight, you will lose weight because you believe drinking that thing is going to cause that. 30% of people lose that weight. So that also is one of the things that happens. So apple cider vinegar in its own can be used. I think people take it for other purpose. There is some research. Some people have done some correlational research on it. I'd say in comparison to things like the green tea and that, there is a bit more research around that. Obviously, in the medical field, they always want to wait for extremely validated things before they can issue it. But I know there is some research favoring the use of apple cider vinegar, but I wouldn't say it's like the go-to thing for weight loss. I would say it increases your basal metabolic rate. And I think people also say that it helps with reducing the inflammation in your body, in the inflammatory pathways. I honestly don't know how true that one is because I have not really read down the research, but I know I've come across some studies favoring the use of apple cider vinegar. But it wasn't specifically for weight loss. It was more to increase your basal metabolic rate.
That's great. Thank you so much for that. Talked about mindset. So how can people work on their mindset in order to stay healthy and eat healthy too? Oh gosh,
that is the $1 million question. I tell you, if I had an answer to that question, I'll solve half of the world's problems. Yeah. Now, I think the main thing is how do people want to do it? I think it goes back to a couple of studies that came out a while back where they found out that even people that they were told, some people they took a portion of people, I think 70 people in New York that had a heart attack. And the doctors had obviously treated the heart attack. They were on tablets and they went home. And the doctor told them, please go home, change your lifestyle. That if you don't change your lifestyle, you get another heart attack and you won't survive that one. Do you know, they sent these people home, gave them the advice. Essentially, advice was change or die. They took that advice, they went home. After 2 years, only 10% had changed that habit. despite knowing that if they didn't change, they will die. So that is the how. Because if you tell people that you are going to die, you expect the person to change the ways, but it doesn't work. It comes down to this thing. People have to identify their personal why. What is the reason you want to change? I can give you the what and how to do it. But if your why is not strong enough, I will not be able to push further. So if people have families and I ask them, okay, do you want to see your daughter go to university? Do you want to walk your daughter down the aisle and give her hand in marriage, for instance? And you say yes. So you have to have that picture in your mind that I will do this. Or do you want to get to a particular age where you are still able to run around with your grandchild and play hide and seek with your grandchild? If that's something you want, or if it's money you want, do you want to be around for your company, still running your company when you are 78 or 80? Because I tell people right now, what you have to have a goal for being healthy. What's the goal really? People say, oh, I want to live a healthy lifestyle. Why? Why do you want? Why can't you just live the way you want and die at 50? What's the problem there? So they have to have the why. What's the reason they need to change? If they can find that why in their psychology, we'll be able to start working on things. So like I said, it's a difficult thing. It's difficult you can tell everybody as much as you want, change your lifestyle. If you don't change, this is going to happen. But if they have not identified that why personally in their heart of hearts, there's no change going to happen.
You have to identify your why, and then that would lead you to know how to change it. Okay, so what are the general routines to maintain a healthy lifestyle?
I believe in 4 things. What I do, what we call the 4 pillars of health. First things first, food as medicine. Okay. It's interesting that the father of medicine, Hippocrates, actually has a quote that says, let food be thy medicine. But unfortunately, we as doctors now, the only thing we there's nothing food we prescribe as medicine, interestingly. So finding out how you can create a healthy, eating lifestyle is the first pillar there. Then the second pillar is what I call movement. Now, movement is, we use the term movement, and that's actually exercise for people. Because when you tell someone exercise, the first thing they think about is someone lifting some heavy weights, sweating their head off, and not being able to cope. That's what comes to their mind. But we have to tell them that little movements around the house are helpful as well. So movement. Third thing is sleep. And the fourth thing we talked about is your social lifestyle, your community, which helps you work on your building a strong mental health. Those are the 4 pillars I would start with to help people build a healthy lifestyle. So on top of that, obviously, once you've got those pillars, you can add other things. And one important thing that doctors can't mention, but people need to know, is obviously having financial health, financial stability. It's very clear that if you are in a low socioeconomic class, your life expectancy drops by almost 30% as standard. I mean, if you're listening to this now, we know the unfortunate news in the world now is the Duke of Duke of Edinburgh dies at 99 years old, a very old ripe age, and it's only really part of that is because they come from a very well-to-do royal family. He had access to healthcare, he had all the best food, all those things. And that's part of it. So if you are people that had not have the opportunity may not have lived to that particular age. So that's one of the things there. But the basic 4 pillars are your feeding, your healthy nutrition, movement, exercise, sleep, and a good social background to help with your mentality and the community around you, which can help steer you to a good, healthy lifestyle.
That's so great. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And from the beginning of the podcast or the episode, I've been learning so much. There's some information I don't even have access to. But thank you for shedding light into most of those things. I am super excited for that. Thank you. And I think we're going to end here. But before I would end the whole thing, I would like you to, I don't know if you would like to disclose your social media handle for people to follow. And also, I believe that some people would want to have access to you. Maybe they're trying to lose weight or they need help on some certain things about their health. Sure.
So if anybody, I'm usually active on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is Dioscuri2. That's DIOSCURI2. Or if you type in Dr. Tosin, well, they love Dr. Tosin, but Dr. Tosin on Facebook should come up as well. My website is drtosin.com. quite accessible there. If you want to send a message, probably best either send a message on the contact form or as a DM in Instagram, or you can leave a comment. I run a YouTube channel. That's also Dr. Tosin. You can leave a comment there. And I also run a podcast called Dr. Tosin's Podcast, which is similar to yours as well, to talk about healthcare and health topics and lifestyle as well. Anyway.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tosin, for this opportunity. I understand that there are a lot of things that we need to talk about, but right now, I think we should just draw the curtain here and end the episode. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to the end, because for you to get to this point, that means that you listen to the end. And please don't forget to follow me at my social media handle at Sarah Shobbs, and also on Facebook, on Twitter. And please don't forget to comment, drop a review after you listen to this podcast. And also don't forget to share with your friends, your family. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for listening. Do have a fabulous week or a fabulous day. Whatever time you're listening to this podcast, just have a wonderful day. Bye.